Alternative Fat Chicago.
Chicago's #1 podcast.
The city of Chicago. Alternative Fat Chicago.
Chicago's #1 podcast.
I'll make a scene.
Audio production.
The city of Chicago.
Like that.
This is episode 70 of Alternative Fact Chicago. B.Hun back again, fresh off of the Chicago Podcast Festival, our live show, which was a great time.
Yeah.
Kate, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You all rested?
Yes.
Last week was a lot of fun. Had the
It
live
feels
show.
like it's been a long time since I've seen you.
Has been.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I know. I have a lot of fun doing these shows.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Absolutely. So we are back again. The Chicago Podcast Festival was a great time, so we'll get into some details here in a minute. A lot's gone on the past, week and a half since we last recorded. We're going to have a lot of impact and a lot of things to talk about today.
Absolutely.
Ready to do it?
Yep.
Where can the listeners, find us on social media?
Check us out on Facebook and also on Instagram at Alternative Fact Chicago, and then on Twitter at AFactChicago. And of course, you can find me on Twitter as Kate Hassett and on Instagram as Kate Cait No Jenner.
Awesome. You can find me at B.Hun 1984. That's B-H-U-N 1984. You can find us on Facebook at Alternative Fact Chicago.
I just said that.
You did?
Yeah.
Totally missed that part.
Facebook and Instagram
Well,
at Alternative Fact Chicago. You don't listen to me at all.
No, I totally.
You just totally made that obvious.
I zoned out.
Okay, cool. Drink some more of that wine.
I'm not drinking today.
Oh.
Don't believe what
What's
she
in
says.
that cup?
It's water.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Okay.
But no, in regards to Facebook, I mentioned it because the interactions have gone up. Facebook, I like Facebook. It's very interactive. The posts have been doing well. So please keep the comments coming. We appreciate it. And then also you can email us at alternativefactchicago@gmail.com. Sponsorship ideas, relationship advice ideas. If you want us to tell us to screw off or tell Kate to screw off, you can definitely email her.
No one would ever say that.
They probably would because you're the nice one of the show. So
Am I?
most of the time,
Okay.
I get a lot of flack for being the mean one or saying stupid things, but it's okay.
Okay.
I didn't really do that at the live show, though, so that was good.
Yeah, that was good.
It went over fairly well. So we're all over social media, our iTunes, Alternative Fact Chicago, Spotify is Alternative Fact Chicago. Anywhere you can find your favorite podcast platform, we are on it. So we thank you all for the support. Now, the Chicago Podcast Festival, let's talk about it. Do you like it or what? It was your first live show, our first live show together. How do you think it went?
It was really awesome. The crowd was really good. We had some friends and family come out and support us. And then, of course, we had all the fans from the Southside Heat podcast that were out, and they were there for our show, too. So it was a really good time. Antoine Walker is big. That man is big.
Pause.
What?
Pause.
Oh, my God. That's outdated.
That sounded terrible.
He's huge. Like, he's just a big guy. Like, I guess I knew he was like an NBA star and this and the other, but I just wasn't expecting him to just like tower over us so much.
Anyway.
What? Why'd you have to make this weird?
You said it. Anyway. Antoine Walker, put it like this. I'll put it in a better way. He's a cool dude. Awesome. He's very funny. It was cool being able to interact with him.
He's also a really big guy.
There you go. That's a better way.
That's what I said. He's big. Like, he's a big dude.
Anyway. This is getting really awkward, Kate. What the hell?
It's not awkward until you make it awkward.
That was definitely a pause moment. Guy listeners of the show would definitely agree that was a pause moment. So
anyway,
it is all good. But no, on a serious note, Antoine, Clement, they did a great job. They have a good podcast, so make sure you check them out, the Southside Heat podcast as well, too. Very sports-related, basketball-related, but they did a good job. Their camaraderie, chemistry is very good. The crowd was good. You know, they were laughing with us, joking with us. And I like being in front of the audience. Doing a live podcast is a very good experience. Takes our show in front of the people. It actually puts pressure on you to see like how you can react to a live setting because you don't know what's going to happen. But I think we did a great job.
Yeah, we made some new fans out of the process, too. Shout out to Birdie. She Instagram messaged me. She's a new follower and super cool. So, yeah, it was a great time.
She didn't follow me.
Sucks.
I thought she might.
She came up to me afterwards and said they came to the podcast festival because her boyfriend likes Southside Heat, and then she was like, "But I'm a fan of you now," and I was like, "Oh."
Was it you specifically?
Yeah,
or the
she
show?
liked me. I'm funny.
Man, that's whack.
Sorry.
If she hears this, please follow me on Instagram because now my pride's hurt a little bit.
Oh.
You don't care one bit.
Not even a little.
No, it's all good. Was that the girl that you took the selfie with?
Yeah, we took
Okay.
like a video and everything. Yeah, she was cool.
Yeah, she was cool.
Yeah.
But it was a great time. If you have not been to a live show, make sure you check one out. We are in the works of another one. And once we get specific details, we will definitely let you know that. So more to come. Shout out to the Chicago Podcast Festival. They did an amazing job. Very professional. Everything went off without a hitch. The quality was good too. So I know Liz, Kelly, I know they had a break last week. They definitely needed it. But shout out to you guys. You did a great job, and it was a great festival. All those that participated, not just our show. So kudos to everyone involved.
Yeah.
Two, I so this past weekend was T-Box. I got to hang out with my homie Justin, and they said that tickets for Bacchus Entertainment on January the 26th, they are doing their very, very first bar crawl. It's called Flapjacks and Flannels.
Yeah.
Correct? Got it.
Yes.
I was like, damn, I was like, please don't forget what it's called. Flapjacks and Flannels is coming up January 26th. They said tickets are going very well, so we'll be start promoting that here very soon, probably after the holiday. So make sure you keep it on your calendar. Saturday, January 26th, Alternative Facts Chicago will be in the house. I think they're doing 3 or 4 bars to start in the Wrigley area, but it'll be a great time. T-Box was fun. Who doesn't love a bar crawl, drinking? Hopefully it won't be freezing out like it was this past Saturday, but more tickets to come. They've been doing very well on social media, so make sure you follow them at Bacchus, BACCHUS Entertainment. Find them all on social media. Get a ticket and join us, and that's that.
Yeah, they've been doing like some crazy deals too on the tickets. Like they did like a Black Friday, they did like a buy one get one. So follow them on social media if you're not, so you can get that ticket for the low.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap too. So shout out Devin, shout out Justin. Had a great time with him this past weekend. We'll definitely be in the house on Saturday, January 26th, and more to come from that and Alternative Facts Chicago. But once again, we thank you all for the support. And now, should we get in the fan of the week?
Let's do it.
So I realize we have fans out of the country. We're not just local to Chicago. We're not just national here in the United States. So this fan of the week goes out to Jen. You can find her on Instagram at J410. That's J4TIN. She listens to the show every week. She sends her comments in. She comments on our Instagram, our Facebook as well. So definitely hear this episode. She'll probably be surprised to be the fan of the week. But we just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts that we appreciate you being a fan and listener of the show. And for this week, you are our fan of the week for Alternative Facts Chicago.
Thanks.
Couldn't give her no love and more than just thanks.
You did it all. Yes, thank you, Jen. I don't know you, but we're friends now. So thanks for listening.
You can add her on Instagram. How about that?
Okay, I'm gonna add you on Instagram and follow back team.
Go team.
Go team.
Doing this is hilarious with Kate because she's cracks me up for a full hour and a half.
Yeah,
each and
I'm
every
funny.
single time.
I literally told you that.
Sometimes you are.
I'm hilarious. I'm so.
We'll have to. Let's take a poll on social media this
Okay.
week. How about we do that?
Is Kate funny?
We're gonna say, is Kate funny?
I love this idea.
You want to?
Yeah, let's do
We're
it.
gonna do Instagram story. We're gonna do on Twitter.
Absolutely.
We'll take a Facebook poll. We're gonna get this going.
Yep. Ask my dad specifically because he's also a big fan of our Facebook.
Yeah. Every time we post on there,
He just commented on it right before we started.
About which topic?
About the taxes that we're going to cover later with the Rahm's new tax.
God. Is that why I have 8 notifications? He
Probably. They're all from him. This is his social media time, you know. Shout out to my dad. Hello, Dad.
Yeah. What up, Dad? Thanks for listening to the show. Yeah, I love your comments, so please keep them coming. They definitely keep me entertained.
Yeah.
Awesome. So this first topic, it's a few days old now, but definitely want to talk about this. I'm curious to your comments. I think you know exactly where I stand on this, but
you made it very clear, on social media.
You know what?
And then you texted me, and then you put it in the agenda. So
what? The people got to know how I feel.
to get people riled up.
It's
That's all.
Awesome.
That's all it is. I know.
It's
your
freaking
face.
awesome. It's hilarious. But no, I like to get conversations going. I like to get people thinking as opposed to holding their comments in. It's better to talk your situations, talk your feelings out, as opposed to hiding them. So
okay, so talk out the situation. What happens?
I like to see what people are made of, and it puts them in awkward situations, and it's hilarious. So that's why I do it, and it won't stop. But it works because it gets a lot of good dialogue going.
Great, go ahead.
Kevin Hart, he stepped down. First, he was announced to host the Oscars sure you all been living on a rock. The very next day, he announced he was stepping down from hosting the Oscars. Essentially what happened, he had some old tweets from about 8 or 9 years ago. He had a comedy bit, and then obviously sent out some tweets about his son, some homophobic comments about his son, which he since addressed a couple of times. He has apologized for in the past. But what happened, obviously, there were some people who dug up those tweets. The Academy, the Oscars found out about it. And then what they essentially did, they reached out to him the very next day, said, here, we found these comments. We need you to address and apologize for this again, or else we'll have to find another host. Kevin Hart took some time. He did actually apologize on social media. He did apologize publicly again, but he also acknowledged it and did decide anyway to step down as host of the Oscars. He said he didn't want to be a distraction from the situation and those that deserved it, and hope, he can be a part of the Oscars as a host in the future. So our discussion, our question to you, the listeners, and we're going to talk about this now, is should Kevin Hart have stepped down, and what's the lesson that we can learn from all of this?
Absolutely, he should have stepped down. That's what I'm going with. Absolutely, there was going to be no making up for this, and I do give him so much applause for how he did it and how he went to social media and went to Instagram and the things he said. Like, he has apologized, he has made the comments, and the point that he made that I just think is so relevant that we really have to think about is this was 8 years ago. And I think we're living in this world right now where we're holding politicians to a high standard by dredging up the past and holding people to a high standard. And we have all these records of years and years and years of things that people have said on social media, and we're bringing it back to light. But the issue at hand is that he said this 8 years ago. He had people that physically were against him, were haters of him because of these comments, which you are entitled to by all means. I mean, I think a lot of times people are way too sensitive to what people say nowadays, but at the end of the day, if you didn't like what he said, if you are from the LGBT community, or if you are a supporter and you didn't like what he said and you don't support Kevin Hart, do it. Don't support him. Don't go see Jungle Book. Don't buy, or what is it, Jumanji. Don't buy his things on tour, his tickets on tour. Don't support him. But, don't troll the Oscars because they chose, because we've all done questionable things in our past. He apologized for it. It was 8 years ago. He even said he's a different person now. And also, it was a tweet, right? So we don't know really what frame of mind he was in when he said these words, because Twitter gives you 140 characters. It doesn't give you a lot of chance for backstory. So I just feel like these are people that didn't support him. And I feel like who really failed in this situation wasn't the internet trolls, wasn't Kevin Hart. He did the right thing for stepping down. I think it was the Oscars, because I think the Oscars didn't do their research. They're trying to produce a show. They're trying to get ratings and get supporters. They picked a co-host or a host of the Oscars. They got a bunch of bad backlash, and they said, whoa, what's gonna happen? And they said, you apologize and you can keep your spot, when really they should have done their research. They should have seen that he's apologized multiple times, and they should have sided with him and said, listen, this isn't what the Kevin of today stands for. Maybe asked him to say something about it during the show, just to bring it up. But I think really the Oscars failed Kevin Hart in this instance. Damn,
actually I was kind of hoping you went against me on this, for one, and two, you stole my answer.
Oh,
you did your research. Did you look at my notes?
No. How can I see your notes?
What the hell? You took my answer.
Sorry.
No, but I appreciate that you said that, because that's spot on. I was going to give the bigger blame on all of this to the Oscars for not simply doing their research. They should have known, like you said, that he has addressed this in the past. It was blatantly seemed like, oh, we see this right now. Oh, he has to do something about it, not knowing that he has addressed it, apologized for it multiple times in the past. And for the fact that they didn't realize that, I think that's exactly why Kevin stepped down. Yeah. More importantly than just the backlash or it's a distraction. Who cares? There's been distractions before. Right. A week from now, it would have been forgotten. Absolutely. The Oscars aren't until February, so it would have been a forgotten story. And to add on to what you're saying,
I think he stepped down because of the ultimatum.
Exactly.
Even if they wanted to rehash the issue, readdress it, ensure people that the option they made was the best choice, because obviously they weren't just going to get rid of him. I think the fact is they gave him an ultimatum. There's a very big difference between saying hey, you tweeted about this back then, some people are unhappy, are you willing to comment, or saying comment on this, apologize on this, or we'll find somebody else. I mean, what was he supposed to do? The Oscars needed him. He didn't need the Oscars.
Exactly.
He's on tour right now. He's got movies. I mean, he's good. He's Kevin Hart.
I thought it was a boss move of him to, I'm going to apologize again, and I'm still going to step down.
Right.
So I think it was almost disrespectful to him that the Academy or the Oscars, whatever you want to call it, didn't take his side almost. Like say, you know what, he's addressed this in the past. Maybe say make a comment saying you address it, but I apologize again and we'll move forward. Or no matter what, we back him and he's still going to be the host. To call him and say, here, we need you to apologize or else we'll find another host. Kevin says, screw it. Okay, I'll apologize, but still find another host. I think it was a boss move of him. It was a couple people on my Instagram story. There's one lady in particular who won't remain nameless. She's a podcast host. Man, she was pissed because I put something about saying, you know, he did a boss move. He did the right thing. And she was saying that Kevin Hart played himself, so to speak, because he should have apologized and still been the host. But obviously there's a bigger message behind it. And it's exactly what Kevin said, that, you know, that there's what do you do in the face of adversity? Like, are you going to cave and just do something because somebody tells you to do it? Or are you going to take a stand for something you believe in and send a message? And that's exactly what he did. And then I know the girl was saying, you know, you should take the stance and support the LGBT community on things like this, or go hard for them and things like this. That's not the point. Kevin addressed this in the past. He's already said sorry for this in the past. It wasn't a recent story. It's 8 or 9 years old. He's actually a great father figure. He's a great role model today. So why are you holding this against him here in 2018, 2019? There's something fishy about it. You can tell, and I'm not trying to put race into this, but there's definitely some racial connotations in this. They've had other comedians like Amy Schumer, Sarah Silverman, Chelsea Handler. They've been all over the Oscars in the past. They've said so many homophobic things in the past. It's never been an issue. I think there's been a few nominees that have said homophobic things. Never been an issue. But, of course, now that it's Kevin Hart, it's an issue. Where there's smoke, there's fire here.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up, because Nick Cannon came and like a couple of stars came and defended Kevin Hart, but Nick Cannon did it specifically and did his research and pulled up some female tweets, and he's saying it's like a female-male issue, that female comedians get away with more because the comedians you mentioned, Sarah Silverman, Chelsea Handler, Amy Schumer, have used the F word in multiple tweets in the past, and it's different, and women comedians are treated differently. But I think at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is that please stand up for what you believe in. Please have a stance on something, whether or not you think it's stupid. But if you're going to push it down someone else's throat, you're just as bad as the issue at hand.
Exactly.
Without a doubt.
Exactly. And they were waiting for this moment. They could have said this about Kevin so long ago, or made him address it for so many different things. But, you know, he's been all over movies, comedy shows for years.
And also beware of what is out there on your social media.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you should beware of that. Like, you absolutely should. Like, when I entered into the corporate world and got a job, like, the first thing I did was take down some pictures from college. I was like, oh, yeah, you know, because people are going to look at your Twitter.
Right.
They are going to look at your Facebook. They are going to dredge things up from the past.
Absolutely. But, you know, and those in defense of the LGBT community trying to say they should stand and ride for them, who says that people don't? And it depends on the situation. But it's not like anytime something comes up, you have to automatically completely take their side on every single situation. You got to take that with a grain of salt. It goes case by case, situation by situation. Kevin has already addressed it. He did the right thing. So shout out to Kevin Hart. He gets to clap it up for that. I wish we had one of those things we can do a clap it up for him. But I think he did the right thing. And the great thing about it, he'll get even bigger from this. And I promise you one day the Oscars will come calling back. He's only, 38, 39 years old.
38, yeah.
He'll get another chance to host in the future. But for now, I think it's a boss move. Now they don't have a host.
He'll probably never take them back.
He may not, but I think he will. The way he left it was open-ended, saying, you know, hope we can work together or something in the future. So I think he'll be open to it. He'll let the dust settle for a few years. They'll come calling back when the time is right. And now they're stuck without a host. It sounds like they're struggling to find a host after everything that's happened. They don't want to get, you know, their lives and tweets researched. So it's a problem. In quick hits, we are going to discuss or predict who should be the host of the Oscars from all of this, but they're in a mess right now. So serves them right. I don't feel bad for the Oscars, and I think of all of it, they take the biggest L from this.
For sure. He's not the only one going through this right now. Like, you know, Kyler Murray, and we're going to talk about that him a little bit later too, but people have dug up tweets from him when he was 14, you know, also making gay slander. So, I mean, it's just like, you have to be careful about what's out there online. But at the same time, like, it's 140 characters, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like your life mantra. Like, give me a break.
Right. Speaking of,
and people change.
They do change, and that was the point. It was 8-9 years ago.
Right.
I can see if it was maybe a couple months ago. He still says it all the time. Different story.
Right.
When you're a changed person, you're a role model now. You are great with your kids. Like, come on, let people live. I think Misery Loves Company. There's always people on social media that want to bring others down, and I think that's the issue right now. And it's an important discussion to have, with social media, how it's just getting out of hand. In my group chats with my homie Steve and Trav, what up, fellas? We get into this all the time, how it's just out of control with social media, how they are controlling people's lives. You almost have to, walk on eggshells with what you say. So you brought up Kyler Murray. You might as well talk about it now. And my clown of the week is 100%, and I'll even say the name now, it's Scott Gleeson. He's a sports writer who all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but he decided to dig up an old tweet just hours later. I'm sure he had this cocked ready to go, but he waited until Kyler Murray was named the Heisman Trophy winner for 2018 in college football. Obviously, he said some homophobic slurs from when he was 14 years old.
Like most 14-year-old boys do.
It's a 14-year-old.
Let's be honest. You just learned those words and you want to tell people.
Absolutely. So is digging up old tweets from someone, whether it's 14 years old, 35 years old, it doesn't matter, is that humane, or what's going on with that?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just what is going to happen. When you interview for a job, I hire people at my job. And so when I interview people, I look at their social media. Granted, I work in digital marketing, but still, I'm going to look at their social media. I'm going to look at what they portray themselves as online, because you want to make sure that they fit in with the culture and that they, upstand to your values. So at the end of the day, if you put it online, it's fair game. So I think that this is a little different than anything than the Kevin Hart situation. If it's online, it's fair game. However, where the line is drawn, Kevin Hart apologized. Right. And now Kyler Murray has apologized. Right. You know what I mean? But he's also young and more intimidated. He's got his whole life ahead of him. He's got some things to worry about. This really could actually affect his career. Right. But
he was 14 though. I feel like no 14-year-old kid.
For sure.
They don't know who they are as a person.
For sure.
Very immature. They'll say whatever comes to their mind because they think it's a cool thing to do around their friends. They don't know any better. I think 100% it's inhumane. I think it's unprofessional. Especially of a sports writer or reporter, whatever you do when you're trying to get clickbait to bring someone down, when in reality you're trying to hurt their life, especially the biggest moment of his life and career, getting Heisman Trophy. You wait 2 hours later. I think that's bogus. Whoever he works for, I hope and wish that they'll say, you apologize or step down. It's kind of how they did Kevin Hart. That's a moment where you really need to apologize or step down. I think it was just unprofessional. It was cowardice. He was just trying to hurt someone, make himself bigger for it. And I think it was a bad look. And I think a lot of times when people do this on social media, I think it's a bad look, especially when these things happen so long ago. I think we're at a time and age where people made mistakes. People were young at one point. You were young at one point. Who are you to bash or comment on what other people say from something 4 or 5 years ago? A lot of people change. I think it's just absolutely not cool of these people to do. I think in all situations, why are we always digging up old tweets and comments on people, or having to delete your social media so people don't find these old things? If that's not who you are now, it should never, ever be a factor.
That's just not how the world works, though.
I know it's not, but it's
But how do you
up.
draw the line? How do you draw the line between saying Kevin Hart was a different person? Well, okay, I'm gonna say I'm gonna take Kevin Hart out of the situation because he apologized. So right. How do you separate Murray from doing this, from using this at 14 years ago and saying he shouldn't have to be held responsible, but then saying Brett Kavanaugh should? Do you get what I'm saying? Where's the line? At the end of the day, when he went to college and knew that his future was ahead of him and he was looking at schools to recruit him, somebody should have been smart enough to tell him, clean up your social media. I'm sorry, but
that's true.
But yes, everything is a representation of your life, and if it's brought forth, Murray, as far as I'm concerned, handled this in the best way. He apologized, and hopefully we can just move on. And unfortunately, it did overshadow a really big time in his life. But somebody should be telling these kids anyway, clean up your damn social media. They're born with screens in their hands. They're just doing it all for the gram, all for the Snapchat. And hey, your actions have repercussions. And hopefully some of y'all's kids will learn from him.
But who's going to take the time to go back and I'm going to look at my tweets or Facebook posts from the last 5 years for hours to clean it up? I get what you're saying.
I did. I cleaned up my Facebook.
Now we're just at a
the
point
world
where people just shouldn't. If you think it's controversial, you almost shouldn't say it at all. If you think it'll get you in trouble 5 years, almost don't say it at all. I joke with people on Twitter all the time, man, hope to God you don't get famous because you're screwed. Like the things that people say.
Right.
Our boy Dave on there, I was commenting on him the other day. I was like, boy, if you ever get famous, you are absolutely screwed. He was like, what? Because I told women they need to cook? I'm like, yes, you are screwed if you say on Twitter that women need to cook. You are going to be called up by the Me Too movement to the podium, and you're going to have to apologize for that. So just be careful what you say.
There's a difference between telling women they need to cook and telling women that should be their only job.
Right.
Like, it depends on what he said.
That was a joke. He said a lot worse than that, but that was kind of like
I was
just,
gonna say,
that was a prime
don't blast
example.
him for that, because I'm a woman and I cook.
That was just a start. That's my homie, though. It was just a start, but we're kind of just joking. Like, this little things like that will get you called up to the podium. So it's crazy. All these communities, Me Too movement, LGBT movements, Time's Up movement. I feel like they're just like waiting, like for someone to say, "Oh, you said that wrong. Oh, you said that wrong." It's getting out of hand. I think it's unfortunate. It's causing men to be like less of themselves. Like you can't be a man anymore. Like you can't say what you want. It's like you got to walk on eggshells. And I think it's hurting like our future generations of people. It's like I almost can't say anything I want for fear of backlash at some point. For someone's gonna find it and make me say sorry for it. So I think we're just at a weird time. Social media's getting worse. I'm kind of nervous with 2019.
I think it's because everything's been oppressed. All communication has been oppressed for so long that now all of a sudden everybody is just offended and they're all just coming out of the woodworks. Every single group is offended for their oppression and they want to communicate it now. Whereas if we had been talking about things this whole entire time, we wouldn't be in this situation. Because when I hear that guys are scared, like when I see these tweets of guys that are scared that they'll be like wrongfully accused, I get sad because first of all, the chances of that happen are less than 3%. And second of all, I want to believe in people more than that, but like say the right thing, do the right thing, don't be dumb. Like it's not that hard. It's not that hard.
You think so?
Yes.
We're at crazy times.
I still believe in people, unfortunately.
You're nice because a lot of people don't think humanity is screwed. But this girl on Facebook, she said they call them social justice warriors. That's what the time of. They're social justice warriors all over the place. So
and they probably wear that crown proudly.
Absolutely. They like hide in their little holes in their room and with their computers and get people in trouble because they don't have confidence in themselves. So I think that's where we're at. But we talked about this enough. I know it's a hot topic, a very powerful topic. So it's good to discuss. Make sure you leave your comments all on social media. We want to get your thoughts and opinions because it's got a lot of people riled up and hot about it, but I think it's a good topic to discuss, and maybe this will bring change by actually discussing things like this.
Agreed. Let's move on to some sports news. So, of course, if you saw, the Chicago Bulls lost 133-77 against the Celtics on Saturday, following which some Bulls players went to NBA with concerns of Coach Boylen's coaching tactics, and he canceled practice on Sunday to have a discussion with the team. So some people were saying they boycotted practice, but apparently they all decided unanimously that they would sit down and talk, that Coach Boylen's already being too hard on the team, coaching too strongly. What is going on with this organization?
So the Chicago Bulls are a hot mess. Obviously, they recently fired their coach,
right?
Fred Hoiberg,
who had no business being there in the first place.
Absolutely
if we can
not.
say that.
He was set up to fail from the beginning.
For
he was
sure.
he was given an experienced team and say, win now. Oh, we're going to trade everyone. Or we're going to give you a young team, lose.
We're going to bring you up from college.
Yeah. Then we'll give you kind of a good team, but you should still kind of win, kind of lose. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was set up for failure. He should go back to college. That's Fred Hoiberg. He will dominate in college. I think he's a great coach.
Absolutely.
He was in over his head. He was never given a chance to succeed, and this is where the Bulls are. And now they go the complete opposite way and hire Jim Boylen, who's a general army-type coach. So we're going to practice. I'm going to talk crap about you. I'm embarrassed when we lose. We're going to run. Mm-hmm. And they lose by 50-some points, which is the worst loss in Chicago Bulls history.
Right.
They got booed off the court. It was bad. And I think they wanted to, have a long practice the next day. And just some things like switching, taking all 5 players out at once, which most coaches don't do.
Right.
That's the NBA. This is not college basketball. You don't really do that. So, of course, the players are already in a mutiny. Zach LaVine had a one-on-one meeting with him to kind of discuss, what should we do in the future. And I guess they determined that they're going to have a leadership committee now on the team, which is a liaison between the players and the coaches for when things like this come up. My mind said, yeah, they're called captains. What the hell do you need a leadership committee for? That's why you have captains on the team. The captain should be the liaison between the players and the coaches. So knowing that they have a leadership committee for an NBA team lets me know that the Chicago Bulls are a freaking hot mess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you hit the nail right on the head. Like, he had no starters in for the final 21 minutes of the game. So they were already losing, and then they just kept getting, like, their hopes crushed. It was so sad. It was, I watched some of it, and I had to turn it off. It was difficult to watch. And don't get me wrong. I mean, the Celtics are a fantastic team. Like, I've said from the beginning that they're probably going to go all the way, or at least everybody knows they're going to the playoffs. But this was just, I mean, it was just sad. Like, it was really, really terrible. Chicago's been in such a bad place basketball-wise. And I just feel like it was like disheartening to watch.
It was bad. I think that this coach might be in over his head. I don't know much about Jim Boylen, but we're in a different age of the NBA, and being a drill sergeant for NBA players never, ever, ever is going to work. Mm-hmm. And he's saying that, he has the backing of the front office organization. Clearly the front office of Chicago doesn't really know what they're doing. So I think it's a hot mess right now. The season's over. I don't care if Lauri Markkanen's back. They have Zach LaVine. If Chris Dunn comes back, Bobby Portis comes back, they're still a hot mess. I think they're going to even lose the players even more. The one thing I will say on the flip side, I think if it's true that the players went to like the NBA, I don't know what they call it, like the NBA.
Yeah.
I can't really think of what. Did you hear my voice is cracked?
Yeah, I wasn't going to point it out, but.
Oh, my God.
Officials. He meant NBA officials.
That was terrible. No, it's like called the NBA like Players Association or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll just move along.
I'm just hitting.
If they went there,
I'm just hitting puberty today. But no, that was kind of a bogus move. You don't go to the Players Association on your coach. Like, figure it out within your organization itself. Figure out amongst your team, but don't go run to a higher up to kind of tell him. That's kind of weird. So.
You don't think so, though? You don't think that they were going to come off that loss and feel even worse, and then they're just fear that he was just going to go crazy on them? I mean, I don't think it was. I don't think it was a case of tattletaling. I think it was like a legitimate concern. Like he's being super hard on us. Like, we're not playing as a team. It's evident that we suck, and like we know we're about to get our asses kicked this week because of this bad loss. Like, I don't feel like it was tattling. I feel like it was actual concern. I
get that, but I think as a player, you kind of got to man up. I did hear some of the comments from other NBA analysts who kind of said, they went a little too far on that route. But, I mean, obviously, we're not in the locker room. We don't know what's said or what goes on. So I don't know.
And then you also take into consideration they're all super young. They don't really have any leaders on the team, let alone like on the court. And I don't know. I just can't imagine like how shitty they felt.
Well, hey, at least Chicago has Chicago Bears because the Bulls are a mess.
Hey.
The Chicago Blackhawks are not good right now.
Not good.
Chicago White Sox are still in a rebuilding phase.
And the Cubs are getting Bryce Harper, and they're going to be so good this summer.
I think they will too.
Yeah,
but let's hope
I keep
so.
seeing reports. It's happening.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. So at least we got the Cubs and the Bears. But Chicago Bulls, I don't know what's going on. Unfortunately for Chicago fans that listen to the show, good luck with them, but it'll be at least we have some drama to kind of keep us going because I feel like this story is only beginning, so we'll be talking about it a lot more and following the story.
Awesome.
Absolutely. So now, getting off basketball, let's talk about some music news before we get into our Everything Chicago segment. So Grammy nominations are out. It's a big time of year. All the award shows, for the next year are coming out in the next couple of months. And if you've noticed from all the Grammy nominations, they were starting a trend last year, and it seems to be continuing. So what they did with the Grammys, they changed up a lot of the voting process in terms of who gets to vote, where they come from, because obviously dealing with a bunch of old white men who vote for the Grammys in the past, I'm just calling it how it is. They have absolutely no idea what's going on in current mainstream music. So they changed it up a bit, and now if you notice that hip-hop music got a lot more nominations than ever before, not just for their own like rap and hip hop categories,
right,
and some of the main categories. So my question to you is, did the Grammys get it right finally, and will this trend continue?
Yeah, I think that they actually did. I think they did really, really good this year. And this is a movement that we've seen, for the past over decade. We saw Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff back in 89. They boycotted the Grammys because they weren't nominated for anything. And then, like last year, Jay-Z's 444, it failed to receive a single win in the past. So I feel like it's been an issue. I feel like they've been addressing it year after year. Everyone's concerns, like hip hop is not represented in the Grammys. It seems unfair when really like what they did this year and how they added more hip hop into all categories, it made much more sense. Like Post Malone was nominated for a rap category, but then his Better Now song was nominated for pop. So like I feel like they actually took a better dive into the songs, into the albums, into the artists themselves. and I feel like they made way more educated decisions, and it just was like I don't know, I was really excited. I was really excited to see the people on the list. I just like really liked it. The one thing I was concerned about though is that Juice WRLD wasn't nominated for anything. I don't know if you saw that. He didn't get nominated for Best New Artist. He didn't get nominated for anything. And I was really surprised by that because he was all over the Billboard 200, the Billboard 100, top 10.
But should he have been?
I mean, for Best New Artist?
I don't think you can be nominated for Best New Artist off of one song, though.
He's had more than one song in the top 10.
Maybe. And that's the only one I can remember is what's his most, I can't think of his most famous song. But he has had one that's been top 10 for a long time.
Well, and his album has been top. Goodbye and Good Riddance. It's been top 10.
Maybe I'm kind of I'm kind of hating a little bit. Even though he's from Chicago, I'm not a big Juice WRLD fan yet.
Yeah, I know that. We've talked about that.
Yeah, he doesn't do it. I think it's his voice. He doesn't do it for me, but it's cool he's from Chicago. But
I also really liked
saying,
the Black Panther soundtrack was nominated for Album of the Year, and also Janelle Monáe, Dirty Computer was up there, which I thought was a really, really great album this year. And, of course, my girl Cardi B, so I was happy about that.
Fact. So, obviously, with Album of the Year, not rap album, but overall Album of the Year, to see Drake's album nominated, Cardi B, Kendrick's Black Panther soundtrack nominated, Post Malone, Her was in there, Janelle Monáe. I don't know who Brandy Carlisle is. Do you?
No, but she was all over the list too.
Okay.
I don't know who she is.
I don't know what Casey Musgraves does.
She's
either.
country. I know that.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see much country nominated, which is crazy. It just goes to show, and I've been saying this for the past 2 years, that hip-hop is mainstream music, and they seem to have reflected, and I'm glad that the Grammys finally done that, because in previous years, even when hip-hop is the most mainstream genre, they will still have a bunch of pop stars, a bunch of rock stars up for Album of the Year.
Yeah. So, I think I saw that half of the nominees for Album of the Year were technically hip-hop.
Right. I think I just counted, hip-hop or R&B with, like, Her, Janelle Monáe.
Right.
So, yeah, I think 6 of the 8 were hip-hop focused, which is cool. Record of the Year is almost never majority hip-hop, but, like, Cardi B, Childish Gambino, Drake, Kendrick, Post Malone. Song of the Year had a bunch, too, as well. Best New Artist really didn't, but I think I'm okay with that this year because outside, like you said, Juice WRLD, which, that could be. There weren't a lot of hip-hop artists that I would say should be up for Best New Artist in terms of, like, overall Grammys, but hers up there. Damn, BB Rexa, she's so hot. She's nominated. I hope she wins.
She's not a new artist.
She really isn't.
She came out in like 2016.
But I hope she wins. She's
I've seen her live. She's not a new artist.
She's hot, though.
I was surprised Juice WRLD wasn't on there.
I'll marry her. She's hot.
Okay.
Anyway,
cool.
but I do want to get your prediction, though. How about we do this? For Best Rap Album, that is a big category this year. And we have Pusha T's album, Travis Scott, Cardi B, Mac Miller. Glad he finally got nominated. He deserved it. Side note, it's kind of unfortunate that it takes someone to die for them to finally get recognized for their music. Yeah. It's his very first Grammy nomination, but I'm glad he got it. And then Nipsey Hussle, I'm also glad he got it for Victory Lap.
That was a good album.
Who do you think of all those? Who do you think will win Best Rap Album?
I don't know. You put me on the spot. I don't know.
Dun, dun, dun.
I think it might go to Mac Miller.
You think so?
I think they'll probably do it, yeah. I think it'll go to Mac Miller. But I think Nipsey Hussle probably deserves it.
I think he deserves it. I'm not sure if he's a big enough name to win it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he got nominated. I think I'm going to go
That's the
with,
only thing he got nominated for, I think, right?
Yeah, is, I think his album was better than, like, any specific song on the album.
Right.
But I'm okay with that. And it's good that they noticed, like, hey, it turns like a rap category. Like, seeing with Pusha T. Yeah. Like, they deserved it because their body of work was great. I'm going to go with, I think, so the thing with the Grammys, they may nominate correct, but who they pick to win is always going to be mainstream. So I think of those people, I think they're going to go with Cardi B. I think she's the most popular. She's the most famous of everyone there. For people that are voting and say, oh, Cardi B, yeah, let's give it to her. I think she's actually going to win it. But I can see almost any of the other people winning it, too.
It was one of my favorite albums of the year. I'm not going to lie.
We know, you're a huge Cardi B fan.
Yep. No shame. No shame.
No shame. All right, one more we're going to do. How about we do Song of the Year? Who do you think is going to win? Between Drake's God's Plan, Kendrick Lamar, and SZA, All the Stars, LMA, Boot Up, Shawn Mendes, who cares? Brandy Carlisle, who cares? Dude, this Zed song, I'm a huge Zed fan. The Middle, great song.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, Shallow.
It'll be that one, yeah. Oh. I promise you it will.
And Childish Gambino.
Mm-hmm.
You think Lady Gaga win?
Yeah, I think that they're going to win a ton of awards.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper duo soundtrack, A Star is Born and stuff. Yeah, I think they're going to win a lot of stuff.
That's what the Grammys do. They'll pick like one or two artists,
Yeah.
and give them all the awards,
Yeah.
just to like, oh, you should win everything.
Yeah.
Even though
They're gonna win a lot of stuff.
I can see that happening.
Mhm.
Ella May, Boot Up.
That is a good one.
That's honestly one of the greatest R&B songs of all time. And yes, I'm being prisoner of the moment. So I hope she wins something. She probably won't win this category, but she should win Best R&B Song because that song's amazing.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. Let us know your thoughts for sure. We'll definitely do more predictions as we get closer to the Grammys. But I'm glad that they're finally slowly coming around. But we'll see what actually happens, who actually wins the awards. But I'm hoping that the Grammys get it right. But knowing them, they'll find a way to screw it up. They'll get nominations correct and then find a way to screw it up.
Heard.
Ready for Everything Chicago?
Yeah.
Before we do that, let's pay some bills. So this Everything Chicago segment is sponsored by the Wrigley Report. Cubs fans, if you're looking for the latest Wrigley renovations, updates, team news, player analysis, and overall Cub news, look no further than the Wrigley Report. Your source for all Chicago Cub news. You can find us on all social media sites at the Wrigley Report. Once again, that's at Wrigley Report. And man, Cubs fans will be ecstatic if they get Bryce Harper. You think it's going to happen?
Yeah, for sure.
Where have you seen that? I kind of haven't heard much lately, but
I've seen like a couple different articles that he's been here like a lot this month, multiple visits.
oh, even still?
Mm-hmm.
He has to be. Like, where else would he go?
Yeah.
I feel like if he doesn't go there, he would either have to go to New York or Chicago. I feel like that's the only two places he would go.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Let's talk more about politics.
This one is actually a good one. Finally, I'm actually excited
Yeah.
about this story. What the hell's going
know you
on
are.
with Rahm Emanuel?
Rahm has been really busy this week. You know, the end of his term is finally coming up, and he's deciding to just like shake Chicago up. He was live today talking about his push for the legalization of recreational whatever voice crack. The legalization of recreational marijuana, and he's also saying that he wants to put a casino in Chicago to help fund the big gap in the public pensions right now, right before leaving office. And then earlier in the week, he said that he came out saying that he wants to do a gas tax hike to support this major transportation bill. So he's talking about raising the price of gas 20 to 30 cents, which if you read the article, he also talks about the fact that it hasn't been raised in the past, like since the 90s. So it actually technically would make up for like inflation, and it's a normal raise. It seems really, really high, but if you read the article, they talk about how it makes sense. And it would also be $320 million in additional transportation funding for the Chicago region. So obviously that's huge. A 20-cent increase would bring in millions of dollars for Chicago. And then also he's talking about doing the casino in downtown and legalizing marijuana and taking all of that money to make up this huge gap in the pension fund right now. And so that's kind of like what's on everybody's minds, is he's not going to get all this stuff passed right before leaving office, just kind of like a mic drop, like boom, take care of yourself, Chicago. And of course, Pritzker's in favor of both of these things. So what do you think about this? Like, why now?
So I was starting to talk about this on Facebook today with one of my homies, Greg. I posted it on our social media page. Make sure you check it out. And I stopped because I said I want to talk about this in the podcast. So Rahm Emanuel has had many, many years. He's been in office for a long time in Chicago. Everyone's known about the legalization of marijuana and the thoughts of doing it. He's always been against it. In regards to what else did he want to do? The Chicago casino. That's always been in talks. He have always said, hey, let's have a casino in downtown Chicago. He's always been against it. But now that he's leaving the office in May, now all of a sudden he's for it. So it leads me to think of one thing. I'm like, why all of a sudden is he for these things when he's been against it all this time?
So why is it? Tell us.
Rahm Emanuel, we don't know where, when, or what. Obviously, he's still a younger guy. He's getting out of Chicago. Rahm Emanuel is 100% running for office somewhere else sometime soon. And I think, obviously, he needs to be in the good graces of not just Chicago, but national media. He's Democrat. Democrats, marijuana kind of go hand in hand. Casinos, Democrats go hand in hand. He wants to get in the good graces and start making popular decisions for, I don't know where he's going to pop up next, but I feel like he's going to use this as ammo in the future because he's not retiring from politics. He's still a very young guy.
Right.
I'm not necessarily saying he's going to run for president, governor. I don't know what it is. But I think right now is a time to where he thinks, I need to make a good move to get on people's good graces. Because right now, leaving the office, he's not on people's many good graces. Like, a lot of people really don't like what he's done for the city of Chicago. So I think it's an ulterior motive. I think that's why he's doing it. I could be wrong, but what do you think about that?
That makes sense. I don't know. I didn't really think of it that way. Obviously, I haven't really lived here that long, so I don't really know like the whole history of like why people don't. I mean, I've like read and I've researched, but I don't really understand like
he screwed up a lot.
Yeah, I don't really understand like why people hate him as much as they do. I just feel like he's leaving a mess. Like I just feel like you're putting it in the position for the next mayor to overturn it or for it not to go through and just to like piss people off, to be honest, because like the tax hike, it's like I said, it's justified. It makes sense, but obviously there's going to be a lot of really mad people. So that's a different outlook that I don't really know about.
Right, and he's making this decision 5-6 months before he's leaving office. So by the time it even happened, he's going to be gone. He was like, I'm trying to set this in place for where if I can't do it, for the next person to do it, like that makes absolutely no sense. Right. The next person may come in and say, I don't want to do this. Right. So whether it happens or not, the fact that he's presenting this idea, hey, this would be a great idea for the city. No shit. They've been saying marijuana should be legalized to help pay for things that have been wrong in the city for so long. Absolutely. What took you all these years and now that you want to actually do it? Smart, man. It's actually kind of smart. It's actually a genius idea because, like I said, I think he has something bigger planned for himself in his career, and this will help him. So we'll see what happens. In terms of another tax hike, a gas tax hike, like we get tax hikes for everything, so I'm not surprised. 100% of our paychecks is going to go to taxes in Chicago in the next couple of years. Then what are we going to do? Then what are we going to do? I don't know. Crazy story. Make sure you research that. Rahm Emanuel, he's an interesting character, but the next mayor of Chicago, you got a lot to fix. But hopefully, a casino in Chicago, I think, will be pretty dope. Right in downtown, I think that'll be awesome.
But where would they put it downtown?
I mean, they take down stuff, put up new buildings everywhere, so they'll find.
I just don't understand where they're going to put it.
There's a lot of like open area along the lake that they could have it. They'll figure out where to put it.
Okay,
I think it'll be a good idea. Also in Chicago, this is a good story that we posted. Sophia Bush, so she was a former actor on Chicago PD. I think she quit sometime in 2017, I think it was. So the story came out on the Chicago Tribune. You can go on Alternative Facts Chicago Facebook and read the article. And she basically quit because winters in Chicago were physically challenging. So she said that obviously being in LA, the writers thought that, it'd be cool, Chicago snow, being cold, it looks so cool on television. So they would make the actors actually film in Chicago as opposed to being in LA and kind of setting it up like you're in the snow when you're really not. So she was saying over the years, at some points it would be, many negative 35, 40 degrees in Chicago many times. And it became physically challenging. It became taxing. She became unhappy. She became unhealthy before this and ended up quitting in 2017. And she just being a pansy. What is it that hard or that tough to live in Chicago winters? You recently moved here about a year or so ago. What are your thoughts on that?
So I will say that winter here is harder than I really expected it to be. Like I felt like I was like really prepared, but it was still hard. It's like a different kind of cold here than other cold places. But what's really interesting about this article you found is, remember, we talked about this before, like the Chicago Tribune, we find articles there and they only let you read so much. So I was capped out and I had to go find this article somewhere else, which led me to find out that this article from Chicago Tribune was actually clickbait. And that's not actually why she left. She mentioned that the cold weather was hard, but actually, if you look at other articles, and I found 4 from other sources that say the reason that she left was because of inappropriate behavior from the actual people behind the scenes of the show. It was like a really toxic like work environment with producers, with other actors. I mean, she names Dax Shepard as being hard to work with. So I feel like Chicago Tribune punked us all and was like, she's leaving because of the snow, but really there's a whole other article. Like she talks about like sexual harassment. She talks about going to HR and telling them like how she was feeling and people still not saying no, like still not like doing anything about it. So apparently there was a lot more behind the scenes than just the winter.
Where's the Me Too movement at on this one?
Yeah, that's what
the hell?
I'm saying. All these other articles are mentioning all of this.
Better call these guys to the podium, man. They need to
Yeah.
start apologizing. I didn't know about that, so
Yeah.
great find.
Yeah,
Kate.
HollywoodLife.com is where I found this article that I'm looking at, but there's I found 4 articles.
All right. You can't be finding from like fake websites. Okay.
No, but you saying that, but Chicago Tribune punked you because you were like, oh, let's talk about this. She's a pansy, but really, like, there was a whole lot more to it.
I'm surprised that Chicago Tribune would be that careless to not really release like the entire facts of what
Right,
happened.
and I can't look at the article now because I'm Mac, so I don't know if it said, did it say anything down at the bottom about it?
It said much more just about how she complained about it, and they kept telling her, you got to talk to HR about it, and they don't want to deal with it anymore. So
Yeah.
they didn't mention some things about what she could have done, and but
yeah.
not about anything about sexual harassment.
Yeah,
or anything like
so
that.
she talks about right here, Mark Schwann, who's also the former producer of One Tree Hill, which is the show where she got her start, was accused of sexual harassment against Sophia Bush in 2007. And she said on a podcast, our experience on One Tree Hill was unpleasant, but our boss, who was a bad dude, lived in LA. And she goes on to say that 80% of the time we were on set, loving our experience and each other, and we would come down to town and be like, watch out for effing Hansy McHansy over there. And he was a producer on Chicago PD too. So she had a bad experience with him in the past. It didn't stop at Chicago PD, so there was a lot more building up, but the Chicago Tribune headline made it seem like she wanted to leave Chicago because it was cold.
Well, screw Chicago Tribune for not presenting the facts, if
For
that's
show.
true.
That's rude.
I'm about to fact check that.
Yeah.
But is it actually living in Chicago? Are the winters too taxing to where it's tough to live here? Since I just moved back to Chicago.
I mean, it's cold.
I would say this
It's
winter so
cold.
far.
Well,
and-
yeah, like the weekend before last, I was like, what is this?
it's
It was so
bogus.
cold. It was like November,
And
and
the
I was
problem
freezing.
is, to bust everyone's bubble, isn't even officially winter yet.
I know.
How sad is that?
Sad.
It's like we haven't even got to January. That's like the coldest month. February is cold. And I feel like it's just been like frigid. Today wasn't that bad.
No, today was nice.
Right. The fact that 42 is nice.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. So if you don't live in Chicago or anywhere in the Midwest, when we say 42 is nice, it felt like, man, I can actually like walk around comfortably outside.
So last year at this time, or during the winter, I was living out in the suburbs with family and like commuting to the city to work. And I just remember like one morning walking, because I took the metro in. So like walking across that bridge and like a really freaking cold day and being like, why the did I move here? Like, why did I do this? Like, my eyes were watering. It was so cold. But other than that, I don't think it's that bad. There's a couple days where I regret my life. But.
It was funny with Sophia Bush or whatever her name is, because she left Chicago because it was cold, and now she's filming a show in Vancouver. So I laughed. My boy Justin's like, she's in Vancouver right now. I'm like, isn't Vancouver cold? So she can't be here because it's cold.
But is it the same kind of cold?
I have no idea.
I don't know,
I've
because I know
never
like
been to Vancouver.
Virginia's cold. They have winter, but like to me, their cold is different. It's not as frigid.
Isn't Vancouver in Canada?
Yeah.
I thought so. I know it sounds
Did
terrible.
you really have to ask that?
Sorry. Well, I know I was almost saying I shouldn't ask that question because
but yeah, you still
people are
did.
going to think I'm stupid. They probably think I'm stupid anyway, so who cares?
All right, let's move along. So we also posted this one on social media, but Lil Wayne, the Carter 5 tour is about to hit, and it's going to have free concerts all over the United States, including here in Chicago. But there's a catch. It's for subscribers of the Tidal music streaming app only. How do you feel about this?
So I'm out. Obviously, I'm Team Spotify, so I will never have
it's
two
not even
music
there.
subscriptions. Like, I don't listen enough music to have two subscriptions. I had Tidal for a while, and it was trash at the time, so they lost me. Spotify's dope. Like, they send you emails about your playlist and like your top songs and top artists of the year. Tidal doesn't do that. Apple Music doesn't do that. Like, it's actually dope because you get like the top songs of your 2018. I'm like, damn.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
got all
dope
that,
playlist.
too.
I know, it's fire. I've been listening to it at the gym all week, or last week since they came out with it. So I'm Team Spotify. You should be too, because it's much better. And people, if you still have Pandora, please get rid of Pandora. It's old. I know there's listeners that will never give it up. It's old. Just please. You just got to get rid of it. But in regards to Lil Wayne, I think it's a 4 tour stop. It's like Atlanta, D.C., Houston, and Chicago on the 23rd. Obviously, I can't go. I don't have Tidal. But cool to see Lil Wayne back on tour.
Yeah.
Cool to see him out of his like legal trouble with his label. His album was dope. He's had a great year. So it'll probably be like a small, intimate setting type show. But
Yeah,
good for
not
him.
that many people have Tidal.
Do you have it?
No.
Yeah.
I have Spotify.
I don't. Duh, you should. Like
Yeah.
every other normal person. I don't know anyone, not one single person of these people that I know that have Tidal. So
Yeah.
Might be
another
small show.
shameless plug for Spotify. You can listen to us there. So
You can.
You definitely should have
You
it.
can't listen to us on Tidal. So
Hell
until
no.
they get that together, unless Tidal wants to pay us or something, then I'm going to stay on Spotify. Next, this last one, and you sent me this today. And
I did.
It's weird that, in our live podcast, we were talking about Chicago Alderman. Now, since we've talked about it, there's been many, many, many stories about Chicago Alderman. So, last story of Here and Everything Chicago. It's a 19-year-old kid. His name is, which I can't find, David Krupa. He's a DePaul University freshman. He intended to run for Chicago's 13th ward, and he is accusing the cities of Chicago Democratic Party machine of using dirty tricks in a bid to remove his name from the ballot. So what happened was all you needed was 473 signatures to run for alderman in your neighborhood, and he got 1,703 petition signatures. Basically, what came out after that, he said the alderman supporters, affidavits from almost 3,000 people saying they wanted to revoke the signatures for Krupa, a difference of more than 1,000 signatures. So basically what they're saying really happened is only 187 of those people signed a revocation affidavit, when in reality, obviously that means over 2,600 signatures were allegedly fraudulent. So what he is claiming is that the Democratic Party made up these signatures to get him off the ballot for fear that he may actually win. And those 187 people who they polled as to why they actually voted to take him off is because they were getting letters or calls up to 3 times a day for 3 weeks straight to get him removed. So they just did it. Do you think he was really set up, and do you think this was really fraudulent actions?
Yeah, I absolutely think this was fraudulent. I think that this is all a load of crap. I mean, we think like, oh, a 19-year-old running for office, like even as an alderman, like he's never going to win. But the fact of the matter is he had a huge resource of students at his school, and he only needed 470 signatures.
Right.
So he probably really easily got them from kids in his classes and kids that knew kids. And they probably went around campus, got the signatures. And then people were probably mad because he has no experience. He's probably not going to live in Chicago forever. He's probably not from Chicago, and somebody who thought they were next in line got mad. And so I absolutely think this is fraudulent. And we've seen this happen like in other places too. It's not like Chicago's the only one that's getting accused of stuff like this, but I think it's just freaking sad. And they're going through with the lawsuit. And I think at this point they wouldn't be if it wasn't true.
You're probably right. I mean, Chicago's corrupt. That's why they call it the Windy City.
Yeah, right.
Not because it's windy, people. It's because of the politics in the city.
Yeah, we're not going to
So just please make sure you know that it's because of the politics in the city. But the reason why I also agree with you, which we've agreed too much in this episode, so we got to start disagreeing, because it's kind of weird that we agree on everything. But the reason why I think it's actually factual is because I semi-seen it with my own eyes. Now, for example, Michael Quigley, can't remember like what it was called. He's been in Chicago, like in Congress in Chicago for quite a while. Who's the guy? I can't remember. It's been a while, but he was on Alternative Facts Chicago. He was the weed guy who wanted to vote for marijuana. Ben something. Can't remember now. He was on our episodes like maybe 1920 back when we first started. He had a couple like situations of like potential sexual assault against him, this, that, and the other. And Michael Quigley's team, they had an entire team of army of Twitter people and social media people who essentially took Ben out the game like nothing I've ever seen. Like they came full force at him to where it essentially changed the minds of like everyone that had his support, and they just kind of took him out essentially like with their power. So I see it, Democratic Party in Chicago, like when you're in office for quite a while, there's definitely ways that you can take people out of the game. Mm-hmm. I saw it with my own eyes. So hearing this story, I'm not saying it's 100% true, but there's a probable cause that this is true.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just know that like if you have money, you can just kind of do anything.
Yeah, that's kind of how the world works, especially in Chicago. So Benjamin Thomas Wolf, I'm like, why can't I think of his name? It was Benjamin Thomas Wolf. I wonder what Benjamin Thomas Wolf was doing today.
That's a political name.
Yeah,
like,
too bad he couldn't win.
Absolutely.
What happened? He hasn't tweeted since September 3rd. Man, he really fell off the map.
They took him down.
They got him up out of here. They did. Poor Ben. He was a nice guy, but he had some issues anyway. But yeah, I do believe that this possibly happened. It's definitely probably true. And obviously, if you want to run for office in Chicago, you better have your facts or ducks in a row, or they're going to get you up out of here. They fear competition.
Yeah.
A lot of these politicians in Chicago, they've been in office for years and years and years and years. They don't want some 19-year-old kid coming in and win. It's like, oh, no, we're going to get you up out of here. Sorry.
Exactly, yeah. Especially a 19-year-old kid that is, like, all idealistic and is going to, like, try to do things the right way when they're all just trying to push their own agendas, actually. So that's the only reason you go into politics.
Sorry, bro. You got to get up out of here.
Yeah.
You're getting all of those revoked, So we'll see what happens. But he's young. He's 19. He'll be back.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to some quick hits.
Let's do it.
Got to thank our sponsors for bringing us quick hits. Posh by Imani. It's women's apparel boutique based out of Houston. Seriously cool person. Make sure you follow her on social media. IG at Posh by Imani, IMANI. Same for Facebook and for Twitter. They're founded on faith, love, and the right to stand out with quality, affordable, and chic apparel, serving all women one curve at a time. And they're offering free shipping still, just for a limited time only until the end of the year. And a new location coming soon. So check them out. Posh by Imani, IMANI.com.
Madeline, what up?
Huh?
That's her name, Madeline. She's
Madeline.
awesome.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, there you go. She's awesome.
Awesome. Okay, speaking of something else that's awesome, ComplexCon is expanding, coming to Chicago for summer of 2019, and the lineup is sick. Is this a big move for the city?
Yeah, I think it's dope for the city because what they were thinking, for those who know what ComplexCon is, it's basically an event. Like they'll have like a big event center. So the one in Chicago will be at McCormick Place, if you know what that is, like a big open area. You can have like different conventions in. The most recent one in Long Beach has 60,000 people. Basically what it is, they have like product reveals. They'll sell like shoes, apparel, like they'll give away free things. They have concerts, like music artists will have panels, live podcasts. It's like one big event of just different things you can do, like superstar appearances. They have like food trucks set up. It's a great event for more of like a millennial type of person, like to be out. It's a good like place to go for like a social scene. So had in Long Beach, everyone thought they were going to move it to New York next, and of course instead they picked Chicago. And this article I read, they said they picked Chicago because they like to keep people on their toes, like expect the unexpected. Everyone thought they would go to New York, but instead they came to Chicago. So a lot of music artists go there. A good place to meet them, get autographs. I think it's great. I think it's dope for the city. Music and mainstream and pop culture is huge in Chicago. Mm-hmm. They don't get enough love for it as opposed to like a New York or in LA. So I'm glad they picked the Midwest. I think it's going to be a great event. McCormick Place is huge. They'll have a lot of artists from the Chicago area out there and from around the country. So I think it's a great move. Thumbs up for me.
Yeah, I mean, the lineup is sick. I mean, they have everybody from, like, Nas to Jaden Smith. They have Gary Vaynerchuk, which I don't know if you know him, but he's, like, a really famous, like, digital marketer and speaker, so that's crazy. I mean, they have, seriously, like, a ton of people. I'm scrolling down the list right now, and it's insane. And what I like, I'm not really familiar with this, but what I like about it is that some of these people, it says, like, speaker and, like, artist. Yep. So we're going to get, like, speeches, I guess, like talks from some of these people, as well as like obviously performances. So absolutely. I mean, Allen Iverson's gonna be there. It's crazy. It's a crazy lineup. I'm excited.
We'll have to be a part of it. We'll have to figure out how we can get Alternative Facts Chicago a part of that, because that's something that'll be dope for us. We fit right in. It's like, it's definitely the type of culture that, we like to talk about, be a part of.
I feel like if you listen to AFAX, like you would like everything about this.
Absolutely. I think it fits exactly like what we do. So we'll look into that. But be on the lookout. It's going to be here in the summer of 2019. Next, we all talked about Kyler Murray a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. He was named the 2018 Heisman Trophy winner. Did the NCAA getting it right by picking Kyler Murray as a Heisman Trophy winner over Tua, I can't remember, Tua or something from Alabama.
From Alabama.
Close enough.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Murray is the most dynamic player in college football, like hands down, bar none. If you take away Murray, the Sooners are not 12-1. There's nothing against that. Their defense is absolutely insignificant. Like even for their conference, it's nothing amazing, and I feel like he absolutely made the team. Like the defense always manages to get by just enough to get the win, but Kyler Murray is their offense, and he's a large reason that Oklahoma has only one loss this season. And if you don't take his explosive numbers into account, which I mean you have to, like I'm trying to look, he has 892 rushing yards and Tua has 190. Wow. So I mean, like, he blew him out of the water in just like straight numbers, but he's just like able to read the field. He can outrun everyone. Like, I absolutely think he's a playmaker. Of course, he's a two-sport athlete.
There you go.
So we know, thank you. So we know he's doing big things, and there's no like doubt
what a
in my
lucky kid.
mind.
Like, he's
yeah.
a first-round Major League Baseball pick already. Like, he's already been drafted.
Yeah.
He's already promised, like, I don't know, $5-7 million. Wins the Heisman Trophy. Now he has a decision. Do you go play Major League Baseball or go to the NFL? He's only going to do one. He's not doing both. As we say right now, he could try to do both.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a side topic. What do you think? Should she play baseball or go to the NFL and be a quarterback? He's a shortstop in baseball, by the way.
Yeah, I think he should go baseball.
Yeah.
He's already been signed.
It's more longevity. It's
Yeah.
less taxing on your body. You don't have to get blasted
absolutely.
by 300-pound dudes. So
Stop agreeing with me.
I know. And it's weird that we're agreeing, again, because, of course, Kyler Murray should have won. Tua had a great season, but I feel like in majority of the games, he didn't even play in the fourth quarter. They blew out everyone that they played. He is a great quarterback, don't get me wrong, but he's a product of their team. I mean, Alabama is just a machine.
Right.
Kyler Murray's defense was terrible. Like, if he didn't bring them back or keep them in every game, Oklahoma would have had a trash season. Oklahoma's becoming like quarterback university. Obviously, Baker Mayfield won the Heisman last year. Kyler Murray won it this year. Whoever's next year's quarterback, boy, he's got some pressure on him. He better be legit because, boy, you got some pressure to live up to their name. But he definitely should. He accounted for 50-some-plus touchdowns,
Right.
over 4,000, almost 5,000-plus yards. Great player. He's, like, fast as shit. So
Yeah,
he definitely was
absolutely.
the best player in college football. Tua's fine. He'll be back next year. He can win again. But I would have been pissed if Kyler didn't win. But, yes, we got to stop agreeing because way too many agreements. But I think this one was an easy choice.
Yeah.
Facts. I bet we disagree on this next one, though. I hope so.
Well, okay.
Let's hope so. You're up.
Okay, so Jaquise claimed that he's the king of R&B for the current generation. He's got a lot of backlash from some R&B people, stars like R. Kelly and Chris Brown, and other people that have came at him. But is he right? Well, first of all, like, I just need to know, like, what's the current generation? Like, what do you mean? Like, current generation?
Because, like, even on, like, Joe Budden podcast or, like, even on Breakfast Club, they were talking about, like, oh, Ronald Isley, Stevie Wonder, R. Kelly. Dude, he said the current generation,
current
not
generation.
of all time.
Right.
So I'm going to say, if you're talking current generation, I feel like it has to be, like, 2000 and on, or at least,
Right.
like, 2004, 5
So
and
Gen
on.
Z is what he's saying.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
like, he probably really meant, like, current, like,
'Cause, like, okay, so
Bryson
he's-
Tiller, like,
Right.
that type of lane.
So he's
but-
24. I'm
Right.
29. I'm on the low end of the millennials.
Right.
So, like, he means, like, his generation, like Gen Z.
Which is it's false because there's really no true R&B right now. If we're getting
Right.
to that,
That's
like,
what I was going to say.
R&B is like R and hip hop or something like
Right.
that. Like it's a little bit different. So if we're gonna go into the debate of like current generation, I'll scale back to like 2000, 2005 and on. If we're gonna say that Jacquees, sorry, you shouldn't even mention, nominated, not even close. I don't even know like your best song. I don't think anyone, the most common person, knows your best song. They probably don't even know what you look like until now. You are very talented. You got to make your own songs, homie. Don't remix other people's songs and make it yours. Doesn't work. So no, you're out of the conversation. But if we're gonna go, my king of R&B, it's my guy Chris Brown. Should be, period, end of story. Best entertainer, pretty good singer, amazing song maker. He's the shit. Has a bunch of number one songs. Like Diddy says, like you got to have a bunch of number one songs. Chris Brown checks that off. You'd be able to like sing girls' draws off. I'm sure Chris Brown can do that. I'm sure he has done in the past. He's a great entertainer. R&B singers are fucking nuts. Chris Brown's nuts. Like Bobby Brown's been nuts. R. Kelly's nuts. Like Usher, like you know what, you gotta fit. You have to fit the mold of an R&B singer. You gotta be fucking crazy. Like you can't be a straight lace. I'm just gonna sing like John Legend and be a wholesome R&B singer. No, you gotta be crazy. Like do a bunch of drugs, party, hook up with girls. Like that's Chris Brown to a T. I think he's the true king of R&B. I'm gonna go Usher second, but he's kind of like an OG R&B. If he was kind of back in the day, Usher, I would say, but I'll say him second. I'm gonna go Miguel third.
Oh my God,
People
I love
sleep on
Miguel.
Miguel, but he's
I
dope.
love-
But he's more of like pop R&B, I guess you can say. But that boy can say, I'm going Miguel. And I'm going to give some love to Trey Songz. I like him. People sleep on him. He's in the conversation. He shouldn't be the best, but he's had a great career. So I'm going Chris Brown, Usher, Miguel, Trey Songz. Those are my kings of R&B. Who you got?
So I think, like, for me, I just kind of separated, like, generations. Like, I don't, like, consider Jaquie's like in my generation. Like I said, like I'm like a younger side of millennial. Like I feel like we're a little older, and I feel like R&B is like not a young man's game like right now. Like I feel like he's the only one really doing it. I mean, like we have her, we had like Bryson Tiller who was good for a minute, you know, with Trap Soul, and we were all like, oh my god. And then now he's just like want like fell off, been nowhere. Like it's not really a genre for young people. So with that being said, I will say like for the age range of like 18 to 24, like where he is, like he's probably the king of R&B, but he's probably also like the only one.
Right.
But if you look at like my generation, like the millennials, the older, I said Usher, Chris Brown, and R. Kelly.
R. Kelly. So I'm like, can R. Kelly be
But I
considered
will say
current?
that I personally like
true
Miguel and Tank better than R. Kelly. Because I also consider Miguel R&B, and I get like backlash on that. People are like, he's not R&B, but like that man can sing.
He can.
He's good.
And I guess if you're going like OG of all time, R.
Right.
Kelly probably is number one.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't consider him the current-ish generation. He's in true OG. So if we're going all time, he probably is number one. As terrible as he is, as creepy as he is.
Creepy.
If you're calling a spade, he probably is number one.
But he fits the crazy mold.
He fucking nuts. It's weird. Like R&B, it's weird. Their concept, like they're just crazy. But I guess it makes sense because they go through love, heartbreak, pain. They're sensitive. You gotta get dumped a lot. So I guess I get how that works. So I'm going Chris Brown though. See, like anytime he drops something, I'm listening to Chris Brown, and so will other people too, which is crazy. But one person that slept on, I guess he shouldn't be, but like, is he really R&B? He's not in the conversation, but should be because he sells a whole bunch of records. Bruno Mars.
Yeah, but
Tough
I don't
one.
consider him R&B.
Is he like more like pop music?
Yeah, he's pop.
But like his
See, because like
album,
I compare Bruno Mars to Michael Jackson. Like to
Okay.
me, Bruno
Okay.
Mars is the Michael Jackson of our generation. Like
Okay.
he's the pop star that everybody likes. Old women, old men,
Yeah.
your mama, your grandma, everybody
Right,
likes Bruno
I get
Mars.
that.
Everybody knows a song, can sing along. Like he's pop.
because he that makes sense because he can make an R&B song, but he's not a true like R&B singer.
Right, for sure. I mean, he can definitely sing, but he chose the pop route.
Gotcha. So that's why he's left out. Which I'm like, why are people talking about Bruno Mars? But he's more like a pop singer.
Yeah.
He's dope though.
Yeah.
Have you seen him in concert?
No.
Fire. You should do it.
Okay.
Next. All right. And you probably don't
I'm
know crap
not
about this. Are you excited that ABC is giving hit TV show New York Undercover a reboot?
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Okay. All right, listeners. Can you sense the sarcasm in her voice?
I'm never sarcastic. That's just rude.
Oh my God. I'm
Okay.
just rude.
All right, tell us about this.
So you were on our Facebook. It's like, I don't even know what the show is or something like that. This might have been literally before your
literally
time.
never heard of it.
Everyone
Literally
else
didn't even
I've
look
talked
it
to, like
up.
my sister, a couple of my homies, they're like pumped. They can't wait for it to come back.
Was it your time? Do you remember it?
I did watch the show. So we used to come on Thursday nights. It was Martin, which I love Martin. It was like Living Single, and then New York Undercover would come on after that. So this might have been like a couple years before like your generation, like early 30s and on. So anyway, it was a show about two cops in like the 4th precinct of New York. Dope show. The problem is, I think their main character, I think his name was Eddie, and let me know, fact check me if I'm wrong. He was blown up in a car, so he's gone. He's dead. So how are they going to get him back on the show is the question. So either they can say, oh, he didn't really die. He went and hit with Tupac for a few years or whatnot, and now he's back. I don't know how they're going to do it. I think the only way it'll work is if they have a whole new cast, and maybe bringing like one person back from the old cast is like their boss or something like that. That way it'll work, but I'll probably watch it. I'm not as big of a fan as some others were. I like other shows and reboots, but I'm cool with it coming back.
Okay.
Crickets. We need like the cricket noise because clearly you have nothing to say on it.
You knew I was going to have nothing to say
I know.
about
That's
this.
more so for the listeners because people were excited about it. So cool. I like all these reboots. I like that comedy and sitcoms are coming back, so I'm okay with it.
Awesome.
Next.
It's you, boo.
Kevin Durant, even though it's not, Kevin Durant stated that playing with LeBron James, I think Kate's drunk, guys. So it's okay.
You brought the wine.
It's okay. We'll keep going.
I can't read.
We love Kate. She's a little drunk. It's okay. It's okay.
So Kevin Durant stated that playing with LeBron James creates a toxic environment for players. Is he just jealous or what?
Yeah, I think he's jealous. Somebody on ESPN, I think it was Max Kellerman, said he's trying to trick the public to say, oh, he's not really jealous, and it's a toxic environment because he's going to go play with him next year. I think that's totally false. I don't see Kevin Durant want anything to do with LeBron James, anything to do with Los Angeles. Kevin Durant's very sensitive. He's a private guy. I think he's slowly hating playing in Golden State. Like, I think he's just... I don't know. He's more of a guy who likes to play basketball and go home. He hates the media attention,
right.
And I think he's like almost not a little jealous of where LeBron James is in the stature, the fact that they're very similar in terms of like accolades. He's won titles, and they both won MVPs, but it's always LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James. So I think he's just a little jealous of the fact that LeBron can handle it. He can still win. Every team he goes on, no matter who's on his team, he still wins, where Kevin Durant had to go to Golden State and play with Steph Curry and all those guys in order to get championships. So I think he's jealous. He's hating, and I think that's kind of where it stands. But Kevin Durant's a sensitive person, and I'm Team LeBron all day.
Yeah. I'm going to disagree just slightly. I think that like LeBron, I think that like what he said is true, and he feels that way, and that it is true, and I think it is true. I think LeBron is probably toxic to be around if you're don't refill my drink. If you're a star, like if you're a really good player, I think LeBron is probably really hard to play with because I mean he does get all the attention. I'm sure he gets all the attention from the coaches because he definitely gets all the attention from the media. He definitely runs the team. He's the star at pretty much every team he's on.
Right.
So it's like for good reason. Like he makes a team. We've seen him make or break a team. His loss or his like leaving has broken a team. So obviously I think that what he said is justified. I don't think it came from like a jealous point of view. I think it just came from a true like feeling. Like LeBron's probably really hard to play with if you're an OG like Durant. Like if you've been around, if you've played, if you've won titles and won, like awards and you're MVP, like he's probably really hard to play with. I think for a younger team that has no direction, like the Bulls, I think LeBron probably is a completely different person. Like I feel like those are the teams that should be seeking him out and like working with him, and he probably does better there because he probably can be the star. But I think if you're an OG like Durant, like you're not going to get anything out of playing with LeBron. Besides a ring. I mean, yes, besides a ring, a championship, because he brings, of course, winning everywhere he goes. But other than that, like Durant, like why would they work well together?
Durant's just like slowly unraveling again. Like he does this every couple of years, and then we're kind of seeing it again. Like with the Draymond Green situation, he's always in it with fans, the media. I don't know, something's a little off with him to where I don't think he can't handle superstardom as well as someone else, to where he shouldn't be like in a big city or something like that. Like maybe he should go back and play in Washington in his hometown or something like that. I don't know. Durant's a different guy, great player. But like I said, I'm Team LeBron all day.
Cool.
What else we got?
All right, so Donald Trump threatened a government shutdown if our borders are not protected. Chaos broke out on the border near Tijuana, Mexico over the weekend, and authorities deployed tear gas on migrants who came and rushed the border. And then the Trump administration reached a tentative deal with the Mexican president, saying that they would keep the migrants in Mexico while the U.S. asylum claims are processed. And now Trump has repeatedly referred to the migrants as criminals, and on Monday he repeatedly called to Congress for more money to build the wall. So if you don't know, he's been given $1.6 million, and he says that he needs a minimum of $5 million to build this wall to keep these felons, as he calls them, away, these criminals, and he is threatening a government shutdown. What the hell is going on? Is this something he can actually do?
I don't think so, because I think the House already voted no. So I don't think he has the power to just overturn it and say, I'm going to do this. Like, who's going to support him in doing this? He's trying to say that the U.S. Army backs him in this. Do we know this? Has anyone ever said, oh, yeah, we support him, we're going to do this?
Right.
I think he's just blowing smoke out of his ass per usual. I will say I like how, is it Nancy Pelosi, whatever her name is, her poker face, how she set him up, and then Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. You can tell they were prepared for that moment. They totally baited Donald Trump into taking blame and saying he will be proud to shut the government down. So everyone now knows, not that they didn't anyway, but in his own words, that it's all on him. He's proud to do it. I don't think it's going to happen. There's not going to be a government shutdown on December 21st. There will be no reason for this to happen. We don't need to border the United States. It just shouldn't happen. I think, once again, he's in over his head and just saying things that he can't really deliver on.
Right, absolutely. I mean, we know he can't do this. Like, he can't just decide to shut the government down. But on a different note, like, does everybody know that the government shuts down occasionally? Like, this actually happens.
Yeah.
Like, the government shuts down, like, I want to say, like, once a year.
Yeah, I think it happened recently, or last year.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like, because of funding, because of this, because of that. Like, the government does shut down. So this is just like his fear tactic, like, oh, I'm gonna shut down the government. I'm gonna take away all your safeties. Like, if you don't do what I want to do, like, Trump, you're a damn baby. This is ridiculous. Like, by the way, like, this happens a lot. And like, if you had any political background and were, capable of being a president, you probably would have known that.
they make it seem like he's trying to make it seem like I'll shut it down like permanently, or
Right. Like
it'll
I'll
just be-
sell the country to Russia. Like,
or it'll
what
just be
does
like
that
chaos,
mean?
like no one works, like it'll just be a free for all.
Right.
Even if
The
there
purge.
was a government shutdown, it would be for like a few hours or half a day.
A day, yeah. We see it happen for like a day, but that doesn't mean it's the purge.
The purge, yeah.
Right.
No
Chill
one,
out.
sorry, bro. No one. He just couldn't get his way, and he whined like a baby, and that's
Yeah.
what happened. Which award show do you care less about, the Golden Globes or the Oscars?
I don't know yet because it all depends on who hosts it for me. I can't
Okay.
decide. So the Golden Globes is being hosted by Seth Meyers, and of course we don't know who's hosting the Oscars now, so I can't decide yet.
I think both are equally boring nowadays, but I'm gonna go with the Golden Globes. I think those are even more boring.
Because they have like documentaries and stuff
yeah,
too, like
it's stuff
random
we
things
don't
that
know.
nobody's ever
It's
seen.
long. Like they're always clapping. It's just they're like
It's an awards
they're like
show.
always clapping. Like outside of like the opening monologue, like does anyone really care about some like documentary on Netflix that you never heard of? Absolutely not. So I'm gonna go
Netflix
equally boring.
documentary.
Dude, so there is a good Netflix documentary
Yeah.
called Fire Festival.
Yeah.
I posted it because I can't fucking wait for that.
I'm very excited for
Yes,
this.
because I remember when that happened, it looked like Hunger Games. I felt so bad for those kids. I'm a music festival person, and if I would have went and had experienced that, it looked horrible.
Yeah.
And then, of course, of all people, Ja Rule was involved in it, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely watching that. That guy was a scumbag for stealing that money. I think he got like 6 years.
6 years
in prison, so-
yeah. And it's funny because his lawyer was saying like he's bipolar, like he had no idea
Oh,
reality versus this fantasy. I was like, okay,
That's crazy.
you're
so.
just scum. Actually,
I think it comes out January 18th on Netflix, but can't wait for that. And lastly, speaking of the Oscars, you said it depends on who hosts it.
Yeah.
We're going to predict right now our votes. Who do you think should host the Oscars now that
Wait,
Kevin
we're
Hart...
predicting, or we're just saying who we want?
Who do you think, who do you want to
Who
host
do I
the
want?
Oscars? Yes.
Key and Peele.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a
They're
good choice.
freaking hilarious, and they're actually both doing things in the world right now,
Okay.
producing movies and out doing more things than just like a comedy sketch show. And I think that they would be hysterical.
That's actually a great choice.
Thank you.
Probably said, no, that's actually a really good choice. I think that they would be unique. They appeal to a younger generation, I would say.
Absolutely. But I actually do think like older generations that might not know them will laugh at them. Like they
Right.
are funny. Like some of the stuff obviously they do is like social and they talk about issues, but like I wouldn't consider them like outstandingly vulgar or like they don't push the envelope like too much. They just talk about real shit. And so
Right.
I feel like everybody would enjoy them.
Great choice. So,
Thank you.
I went a guy that was funny. He's a legend. I don't think he's ever hosted something like the Oscars before. He's been on Instagram. His posts are amazing. Videos are amazing. Good role model, popular guy. Wouldn't it be great if Will Smith hosted the Oscars?
Oh.
Yeah, see, you thought it was going to be a
That
stupid
would be
choice.
good. I didn't think it was going to be a stupid choice. That is a good idea.
I made that up off the
But
off
most of the
whim,
time they
too.
don't pick like movie actors, right? Isn't
So
that?
I heard they offer The Rock before Kevin Hart. The Rock turned it down. I'm not sure why.
Oh.
But so I guess they would, but he offered it. He turned it down. I don't necessarily care to see The Rock do it or like a John Cena or something like that. It's okay. But I think
But I don't like John Cena and The Rock aren't really in the same category.
Oh,
Like,
I mean, The Rock's well
yeah,
above
The Rock's
John Cena.
way more well known than John Cena.
But
you cannot compare
John
them.
Cena's trying to like follow The Rock now, like
Right.
leave wrestling and do it. Anyway, but I would say I think Will Smith would be a good fit. I think he'd be perfect. He'd be well received. He's likable. He's on his like little comeback. Not that he ever fell off, but like he's like back in the like public eye again. I think he'd be a good choice. I'm surprised he's never done it or that they haven't offered it to him. But right now they don't know who it's gonna be. They say they might not have a host, which would be terrible. If you don't have a host for
How
the
can
Oscars,
they not have a
no one's gonna watch.
host?
I don't know. They would do like a quartet or kind of how like Saturday Night Live does, where it's like people all over the place. Like you come out for a segment. You come out for a segment. So, I don't know. But I'm going Will Smith. You're going Key and Peele. Let us know, listeners, who is the better choice or if you think they both are. But I think actually I'm cool with either as an option.
Cool, me too. Agreed.
Clown of the week time?
Yeah.
You're up.
Okay, so my clown of the week this week goes to the Post Journal, a print publication, which first off, print publication is dying. You can get all your news online.
Yes.
Second of all,
Yeah.
so you're firstly my clown of the week for that. Second of all, I'm paying 99 cents for the Chicago Tribune. They printed an article about Julia Roberts and the it was supposed to be how she's coming back, making a comeback and doing more things. And what they titled it was Julia Roberts finds life and her holes get better with age. Holes, Holes.
That is
And they meant to put rolls, we're assuming, because I don't really want to know what holes they're talking about. But I think this was like really embarrassing. It was a really, 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 really big misfortunate oversight, both for their publication and for Julia Roberts, because everyone's just like laughing at her right now and her holes. So Post Journal, you're my clown of the week, because first of all, you need a better spell checker. And also, second of all, this was ridiculous.
That was funny. I think Sensible People podcast that posted that. I laughed. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Poor Julie. She didn't do anything to deserve that.
I know. Her and her holes.
My con of the week is less funny, but it's actually to an idiot. He's USA Today sports writer Scott Gleeson. He is the one who posted a couple hours after Kyler Murray won the Heisman and posted and dug up his tweets from when he's 14 years old about his homophobic post that he said to his 14-year-old friends in tweets. Scott Gleeson, you are the clown of the week because A, it's wrong. A, I think it's inhumane. C, like, what were you doing when you were 14 years old, the type of things that you were saying? And D, like, what caused you to wait? I promise you, Scott Gleeson had these tweets dug up from a while ago, months ago, weeks ago, even if it was a day before. He waited to the biggest moment of Kyler Murray's life to bring this story out and put him on blast and force him to have to apologize. Why? I think only for clickbait. I think only for a story and only to put someone on blast for things that they did when they were a little kid. Scott Gleeson, I think this was morally wrong. I don't know, but USA Today, you really need to think or consider if he's even good to have, because I'm assuming, I guarantee you got a lot of backlash over this. He's probably not too happy right now, and it sounds like he's, because his own biography, if you ever read it, it says, like, my enterprise and human interest work on the LGBT movement in sports made me an APSC award finalist in 2016 and award winner in 2017. So clearly he's the type of guy that likes to boast and do these types of stories and call people out for types of comments that they have overall. I think this was wrong. It's inhumane. Let this guy live. He was a kid. It's a great moment in his life. If you really wanted to talk about this or make him address this, you could have done this a long time ago. So Scott Gleeson, I think this was a bad move. And then two, even after you apologized, you did another article saying he apologized for the comments that you made him go and apologize for. So I don't think you get any cool points for this. I think it was a bad move. And for that, Scott, you are getting the clown of the week.
Can I make one comment?
Go for it.
Unpopular opinion, I know I'm going to
God.
say, but this is why I feel like we put way too much pressure on college athletes. And I'll just say it and then be done. But this is why, because he's too young. This is two different situations. Him and Kevin Hart where the same thing happened, and Kevin Hart was in a position where he wasn't going to lose anything from his career to be able to stand up for what he believed in and not apologize. Right. And Kyler had everything on the line, and if he didn't apologize, he would have fizzled out, probably lost his contract for baseball, and literally been a nothing. And it was all dependent on this one instance. So this is why I think that we put way too much, we make these college kids way too fucking famous for playing a game, and this is where my whole issue stems from, and that's it.
That is enough.
I'm off my soapbox.
There, you done there?
Yeah, but I've said this multiple times.
You have.
I've said this multiple times that we care way too much about college football, and we perpetuate this fake ass celebrity, and it's our fault. So we're all the clown of the week.
Which I agree with that, and I think if he had said it like recently or like a year ago or a few months ago, cool. He's 14. I've said some terrible things even last week, but
even
when
this
I was
morning,
but when I was 14, I couldn't imagine. One of my homies that put up on Facebook, he was even made a joke. He was like, "What if I'm waiting for my decision to see if the Grammys will let me host?" I'm like, bro. They will never let the Me Too movement will destroy you for your post. That's like most people in the world. So it's a sad time, and I have to get back into it. But Scott, you were a clown of the week, but I do get what you're saying completely.
Yeah, this is my issue.
Absolutely.
One of my issues. Let's be real.
Great episode. This was a lot of fun. We had a lot to talk about. Hope you all enjoyed it. Let us know your comments, though. I think this is a deep, deep episode. A lot of things that need to be discussed. It's a crazy time going until the end of the year. I think everyone in the world just needs a break. Holidays are coming up. Enjoy time with your family. Take a woosah. I think everyone just needs to come back in 2019. It was so funny. It was serious but funny. Maybe because I'm
funny.
You are funny.
Thank you.
Awesome. So check us out.
I'm keeping that forever.
There you go. Are you gonna put that in a drop of ours?
Yeah, that's my soundbite.
I feel that.
I love it. Oh my God.
Check us out on 247liveculture.com. Always on social media, Twitter, Facebook. Twitter's AFAC Chicago. Make sure to follow us and keep the Instagram posts. We're going to do better. We're kind of slacking a little bit Instagram, but we're still at Alternative Fact Chicago. We will get back on that, I promise. It's been a busy couple weeks, but now the live show's done. we can get back to us. So, but no, we really sincerely thank you all for enjoying the show, making it Chicago's #1 podcast. We're getting out of here. It's been a long episode. What else you got?
That's it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody who came out to the live podcast. It was a blast. I know we already said it, but thanks again. And there's more in the works, so we'll hope to see you again soon.
Absolutely. So enjoy December. Enjoy the time with your family. We'll be back next week, of course, with episode 71. But this is B.Hun with Cait, Alternative Fact Chicago.
Can I say my own name?
No.
Okay, I'm Cait.
Bye.
We're out.
Peace.